Now we're back to the next stage. So what we have now is our leather hard lid that is set up for a day. I'm going to center it on my gripper bat, and then I'm going to trim down the exterior core of this extension right here that was on the hump when I threw on the hump. So I'm just going to trim away the harder clay. Underneath is the softer clay. And if I'm at a stage where the softer clay is slightly too hard, which this might be, I'll just put a slight piece of cloth with some moisture on it, for half hour or less, to just soften it up a little bit, because that's the clay that I'm going to pull upward into a finial. So this is a little firm for me, so I'm going to put it over here, and I'm just going to put a little moisture on that. And then here's one that I did earlier this morning with a little bit of moisture, and I'm going to put that back on the wheel head with a Giffen grip to hold it in place. Good. And now we're going to pull this up. I have to tell you, it dried overnight just a little too much. So this morning, when getting ready for the video shoot, I just wrapped that little section with a small piece of cloth that was soaked in water and just let it sit on there for about an hour. And it just softened up this little section of clay just enough to allow me to pull it up. So as you can see, doing this lid is like a 3-staged piece. But it's really cool to have this excess clay on top that's soft enough to be able to pull it up. So that's just the beginning, and I'm working it. As I move it, it's getting softer. I like to regularly have a sponge touching it because it is relatively firm, and a moist sponge touching it softens it up as I work it, which is very helpful. So you can see how I'm bringing it up. It's still got a ways to go. Still needs more moisture because it is relatively firm. Now in this piece I'm going to flatten it, make the top a little thicker, because I'm going to open that. Because what's really fun on a piece like this, especially a wood or soda fired piece, is that it's going to have some relatively earthen tones from the flashing slip texture. And to have the very top of the handle have a piece of glass indented and melting would be very dramatic. This is going to help get any little twist out of the handle. There we go. So now, heavily moistened, I can start to design it. Get the top back on center. I'm going to use my fingernail to smooth that. There we go. Smooth those ridges out. We're getting there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take this little mahogany tool. I have to moisten this more. It has to run through my fingers very, very lubricated. And then I'm going to compress downward just a wee bit and bring it out. So it's creating a little concave top to the handle. Do it just a wee bit more. There we go. Nice. Clean it up a little. And then what I do to this piece, which will be the next stage, is I'm just going to dry this really quickly with a heat gun because this lid is leather hard. I'm just going to dry the surface clay, and then I'm going to continue these steps down and clean the top of the lid off altogether. I'll show you that in just a moment. Thank you.